Welcome into the Alabama Football Report, and welcome back to Kadyn Proctor. One of the wildest, or more wild stories I think we'll see in the era of the college football transfer portal. Kadyn Proctor is set to leave Iowa, enter the transfer portal again, and return to Alabama, where, yes, by the way, he is able to play immediately. What a time to be alive. If you are happy that Kadyn Proctor is set to return to Alabama, barring another snip-snap change in his decision, like the video for me right now. I think every single person watching should like it. Among the reports all came out at once of he's going to enter the portal, and eventually, Hayes Fawcett mentions that he's going to enter the portal and that he's going to go back to Alabama. That had all been reported, said, and then Kadyn Proctor himself. I mean, it's pretty clear from that. I'm back. Kind of crazy, right? I think that what had happened is Proctor had taken a little trip with some former Bama teammates, and I guess that was enough to convince him to make his way back to Tuscaloosa. Here is the whirlwind timeline of barely 2 months. He enters the transfer portal on January 18th. 2 days later, I'm going to Iowa. Also accidentally revealed that Iowa had tampered because they had texted him, or at least the coach had texted him, the recruiting coordinator, whatever it was. Iowa self-reported a violation for that. It's a level 3. It's not that bad. And then 2 months from his transfer out, he's going to transfer back to Alabama, which that's something. I can't say I've seen that one before. And does a pretty significant change to the way we feel, I think, about this Alabama offensive line. Proctor struggled to begin his first season. And that's what led to the tampering of Iowa guys said, keep your head up, basically. He did. He played much better as the year went on, and the hope of him being the next great Bama tackle had kind of begun to emerge down the stretch of his freshman season. Now, he is immediately eligible to play. Do keep that in mind, since the NCAA has really no power these days anymore. He will have to earn his spot back. I think the nice thing for Proctor in Alabama, it shouldn't be that hard to find his way back to his spot. The offensive tackle room for the Crimson Tide is not very loaded. Elijah Pritchett, who had also hopped in the portal for like a day and then changed his mind, feels good about where his back. I think he's an obvious right tackle candidate. You keep Kadyn Proctor on the left side. Now Tyler Booker. I still think Parker Brailsford's going to win that job. Jaden Robertson there at right guard. Pritchett then slots in at right tackle. Don't we feel better about that? Now, Pritchett has to earn a spot too now. It's not as given as maybe it would have been previously. So pick a right tackle for me. EP for Elijah Pritchett. WF for Wilkin Formby. Go ahead and sound off with the pinned comment of today's video. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Now, noted YouTuber Josh Pate also had sent this tweet out last night that Kadyn Proctor back to Alabama isn't even top 3 of the wildest portal rumblings I've heard this week. Utter chaos awaits post-spring. Now, he had been asked, is this about Alabama or just in general? He said, Bama, yes. Several other programs as well. Should be a wild ride. What the hell's going to happen next then in the chaos that is the college football free agency cycle? One thing that was immediately speculated on was Caleb Downs returning, because that would also be pretty freaking wild, and I think would be more wild than Kadyn Proctor, given that Downs is better relative to his position, etc. Part of why things went so crazy on social media was, well, there's no Ohio State stuff there in his bio. That's just generic bio. Now, there have been some claims of who he's followed, who he wasn't following, whatever. I will say the NIL Collective for Ohio State, maybe seeing the rumors that were out there, sent out our student-athlete partner Caleb Downs is locked in and ready for a big year. Go Bucks! And then link the foundation link there. So I think that's probably not going to happen necessarily. But chaos is chaos. We will have you covered on what else could happen during spring when that transfer portal opens up again. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/@RollTideTV. We are 146K subs away from 17,000. Help us get there by hitting that sub button right now. I think to a certain extent, this is kind of highlighting some of the things that are wrong with what's going on with college football right now. You know, people made comments about Nick Saban complaining about NIL and the transfer portal. He said he retired because he couldn't hang anymore, was tired of some of the BS there. Some of those things are true. As an aside, I do still think the root cause is still present in that whole congressional meeting on NIL. How many college kids were there? How many people under the age of 50 were involved in that meeting? That's not the point of this stuff. This is still for the kids, right? And yet we continue to make the only people involved in the negotiating, the conversation, the thought process, people who are certainly not close to being kids anymore. This isn't how it's supposed to be for college football. It's supposed to make things better for the players. I think at some level, college football is broken to an extent. And frankly, the thing that nobody would have wanted a couple years ago is a thing that could make it a lot better, an actually dedicated, focused union with the right people in charge of the union and not people trying to get out their own little sliver of the pie, is actually probably beneficial. The transfer portal at its core is a good thing for college football and for the players in particular. Since after all, ADs and coaches get transfer portals for free with no downside really to them, but it's gone a little bit too far in the other direction where, you know, you're just transferring then retransferring back 2 months later. If I'm Iowa, I'm pissed right now, right? Like, they probably gave Proctor a nice little NIL check. Now, maybe he gives that back. Who knows? And then he's gone. Just like that. His biggest crowning moment was losing a pickup basketball game for Iowa. That's just kind of crazy for me. The NCAA can't fix shit. They have no power. They're toothless. But some changes, some not barriers, but some organizational structure I think is needed. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to be utter chaos, and chaos is fun when it benefits your team. So with that in mind, rate your excitement level on Kadyn Proctor returning to Alabama. Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comment section. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Now, Alabama football jerseys are on sale. I don't know if they have any Iowa Kadyn Proctor ones. We do have Bama ones in there. Go to chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. You'll see some alumni players, some custom jerseys too. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. That's chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. It is commitment day for one player. That is Duke Johnson, set to announce at 5:30 Eastern Time today. So a couple of hours depending on when you're watching this one. Bama firmly in the mix here, by the way. Bama, Florida State seem to be the top two favorites for a top 30 recruit in the 24/7 sports recruiting cycle, or composite recruiting rankings, excuse me. 28th overall, the number 3 linebacker, 7th from the state of Georgia, also trying to go out of state with mostly SEC schools and Central Florida mixed in there as well. In what is still the early phase of the recruiting abilities and challenges that Kalen DeBoer is facing, this would be a pretty massive win for the Crimson Tide. A top 30 recruit at a position of need at off-ball linebacker, getting some defensive pieces for a team that is replacing the greatest defensive coach ever, at least collegiately, is a good thing to monitor. The current 2025 class sets up like this. There are 5 commitments right now. Anthony Rogers, a running back. Antonio Coleman, a defensive lineman. Another linebacker in Miles Johnson. Athlete Zamir Smith, and the latest 4-star receiver, Derek Smith. All those guys, by the way, of course, are 4-star recruits. So will Darrell Duke Johnson commit to Alabama? Prediction time. Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off in the comments section. We would be remiss to not mention the pro day that went on today for the Crimson Tide. 12 players participated at the pro day for the Crimson Tide. It's the 12 you would certainly expect. Terrion Arnold, Chris Braswell, Jermaine Burton, Justin Aboyesby, Jalen Key, J.C. Latham, Tresman Marshall, Jace McClellan, Cooley McCutcheon, who allegedly ran a 4.47 on a fractured foot. Now, pro day times are normally a little bit juiced relative to others, but let's say that's a 4.52, add a full 0.05, which is a lot to add, by the way. That's a better time than people were worried about him running on a fractured foot, no less. So good news there for Kool-Aid. Dallas Turner, who I think will be the first defensive player taken, and Arnold might be the second one taken when it's all said and done. Also present were Will Riker, the kicker, and Darian Dalcourt, the maybe gets drafted, probably not, offensive lineman. My money's on Dallas Turner being the first Alabama player drafted in the 2024 class. Who do you think it ends up being? Get those predictions in for me in the comment section right now.